My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Sagittarius. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing your general reading, your past, present, future, 9-card spread. I'm going to be using the regular tarot deck, clarify with the vampire deck, draw a special vampire card, draw a vampire oracle, and finish off with 3 yes or no answers for thee. So, let's get started with your reading. Okay. The general card is the Queen of Pentacles. Let's look at the first row. 5 of Pentacles reversed. Earth placements. 3 of Cups reversed. Water placements. And then you get the Knight of Cups reversed. More water placements. Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, what have you. Okay. So, what I kind of saw here is, in the past, you got out of some kind of like poverty kind of situation regarding the 5 of Pentacles reversed. I mean, this could have been a really good, major turnaround in your finances. Maybe you had, suffered from some kind of like recession of some kind, or maybe you actually suffered from some kind of like anything. Maybe, you pretty much, just only lived paycheck to paycheck in other ways, but yet you managed to actually save up, which is actually a very good step and actually act to do, is where you pretty much just think, okay, it's like, I want to actually have more on my bank account. I want to actually have more money and stuff like that. So instead of just constantly having to go over to some of these like places for my coffee, for, if you're one of those individuals, of course, be rest assured it's just a general reading. If you like tea, if you like water, okay, probably not blood. I'm just kidding. The thing is it's always really good to actually think ahead on how you're going to get out of some kind of financial problem. And then with the 3 of Cups reversed, it's not like a real big celebratory occasion, but it's still a personal acknowledgement for yourself to think, wow, I actually maybe, did some budgeting. Maybe I actually cut out some of my extra costs or whatever, stuff like that. But now look at me and a bit more, my bank account is in a flush mode, what have you, and so forth. I'm just kind of throwing out modern day terms. I have no idea what flush even is about and stuff like that. But if that means anything, hopefully. But yet you do get the Knight of Cups reversed of either a missed opportunity of an offering or rejecting some kind of offering. What I kind of see here is you guys love your independence. So maybe, while you were getting out of this whole, poverty kind of situation, you were just doing it by yourself. And then when other people wanted to either, say, hey, Sagittarius, can I help you? You were just actually, I'm okay in my own independence. I don't need to have any more advice or guidance from other people in any way. Well, that's a really good trait to have. It's always good to have your own sense of independence, because I had my own sense of independence, how I went from this real tragic story of this newborn vampire just living in this gross box for so many years, finally becoming a tarot reader with no help or guidance or support in other ways. Yes, it was very terrifying and miserable on so many levels, but I also just have this sense of acknowledgement myself of thinking, I can't believe how I managed to do that. But anyway, current times, 6 of Cups nostalgia, 2 of Wands, growth, development, and journeys. And look at one of these beautiful cards, 10 of Swords reversed, overcoming and healing from some painful ending. Wow. Whatever you did in the past, you did a magnificent, fabulous job on so many levels, and you have your current times to actually be thanking you, because this is looking back at the past and the thinking, I can't believe we did that. We did that. We managed to get in this beautiful position, and now we pretty much have more resources to grow, develop, and just head off towards new directions and other ways. And we are also healing and overcoming from painful endings. Hopefully, what I'm kind of getting here is that you actually saved yourself from some kind of bankruptcy in other ways, and maybe that's why you pretty much did whatever it took, by any means necessary, as it's called, to do whatever it took just to actually get out of this whole 5 of Pentacles situation in the past. Love this. So then, in the future, you get Magician reversed, Gemini, Virgo energy. 10 of Wands reversed, fire placements. I was going to say Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, of course. And then you get the Ace of Cups reversed, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio placements. Okay. You know what I'm kind of getting here is either you're still in the healing phase, because, it's like when you're actually, healing and recovering from like a 10 of Swords, which is way more painful than a 3 of Swords. 3 of Swords is already bad enough. 10 of Swords is like 7 more swords extra, right? So, but here it just looks like that, you might not have the motivation or desire to want to actually start creating something in the future, because maybe, it's like with all this healing, with all this traveling, with all this, like, movement and, just, development and stuff like that, it's like if you even get a chance to watch one of my previous videos about the history of Elizabeth Bathory and blood. As long as blood is flowing through the human body, of course, that just mostly makes me thirsty, but that means that the body is functioning, right? As long as there's movement and developing, something is working. If something is actually just in the flow of things, it just means it's working. And that's what it's all about, is as long as there's movement with the Two of Cups, then that's also actually accentuating your healing in current times. So either you don't have any kind of motivation about the future because you're in, healing mode, or maybe you don't have to be manifesting anything anymore, because you're releasing yourself with the 10 of Wands of hard work and burdens, and yet, you could also be potentially facing also missed opportunities and abundance in the future, because either A, you're recovering and healing, which kind of puts you in a vulnerable spot of not actually, getting anything in return. But it could also mean that, by releasing yourself of everything, maybe you just don't need to be welcoming new abundance in the future anymore, or any kind of new offerings as well. But anyway, let's head off to clarification. For 5 of Pentacles reversed, you got 9 of Swords. Okay, so, you got out of some kind of poverty situation, but yet you got also hit with some kind of nightmare situation as well. So what I mostly see here is, when you're actually in recovery mode, it puts you in a sense of of vulnerability. Because this is also kind of like a recovery's kind of moment in your life where you pretty much just think, okay, I finally got myself out of bankruptcy. I finally got myself out of any kind of negative financial, spots in my life and stuff like that. But yet, it pretty much still put this, sense of fear within you, because sometimes, when you actually escape any kind of dangerous situation and you're now in a safe zone, you're in a safe room, everything is locked up, well, you can still have fear just washing all over you, of just thinking, oh my goodness, why did that have to happen? Is it going to happen again? We don't know, blah, blah, blah. All these uncertainties and fear start washing all over you, because, that's kind of like the effects of any kind of like negative, situation, whether it's like you were being chased by, some predator for that matter and stuff like that, and now you're pretty much have escaped the clutches and stuff like that. I mean, I wonder if I would have actually felt that way if I would have left my tarot shop at the time, but sad but true, we'll never know. But otherwise, that's kind of what I'm getting here. The 3 of Cups reversed, you get the World. Fabulous. You can have Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, or Taurus placements in your star chart. But I see here that this is a beautiful self-acknowledgement. You finally got yourself out of a dangerous situation, and now you're kind of just having the self-acknowledgement. You're pretty much just saying, wow, I can't believe I did this. Congratulations to me, myself, and I. And so now you have, or at least in the past, you had the confidence of entering into this world. And that's what I love to see, is that you pretty much just think, okay, we're now in the safe zone. Everything is working out. I feel confident. I knew I could handle, the situation and stuff like that. So now I'm going to enter into this world, or this whole personal acknowledgement is definitely taking out in this world as well. Because for Knight of Cups reversed, you get 5 of Wands. Now, what I'm kind of getting here is somehow you could have been deceived in the past, because, either, you're kind of, foregoing this offering from this Knight of Cups, because, it's like there could have been, some kind of like, what's that phrase called, but not really a phrase. Well, either way, you pretty much just kind of have like this conflict or something, where you pretty much just think, no, I'm not going to, accept any more offerings right now, because, it's like the past was already a big learning moment for me. So why should I actually be, just thinking, okay, I'm just going to, welcome new ideas and new people into my life, because how would you know that those people are actually honest and true about their offerings, right? So, but it could also be that maybe you just think, okay, I'm not going to be doing any more, new, offerings and stuff like that, because it just looks a bit too competitive. And right now, I just want to kind of just go into recovery mode right now. Because the 6 of Cups, you get the moon, Pisces energy. So you're pretty much heading off towards this new voyage, this new journey, what have you, and so forth. Because in the Rider-Waite deck, you see this tiny little squiggly path that's going to be guiding you towards the mounds of opportunities. And now you're pretty much just thinking, okay, I'm just heading down towards this new opportunities moment, and I'm looking back at the past and thinking, wow, I'm so glad that I'm leaving this situation. I'm healing, I'm recovering, overcoming all of the setbacks and negativities that took place in my past and stuff like that. And now I pretty much have the means and the strength and the confidence of going out on this new journey, and especially with the Six of Cups of nostalgia. Of looking back at the past, of course. Because going out on new journeys with the Two of Wands, you get justice, balance. Now, you could be winning some kind of legal battle coming up real soon. Again, I can't say when or how because my tarot has no time frames on them. But you could also feel incredibly balanced, pretty much just feel stable and thinking, okay, I'm going to head out into this world, and now I feel incredibly confident. I feel balanced. Everything is just working out. My finances are benefiting me. Everything is just working out. Okay, yes, I did have to escape that metaphorical monster or predator in my life and stuff like that, but now everything is going to be turning out for the best in my life. And I think this is such a remarkable, combination. And I love this reading so far for you because I feel like a lot of humans, that's what I love about some of these stories or books or literature and stuff like that, is when you know that the heroine or hero or, protagonist escapes any kind of dangerous situation for that matter. And here you are actually, either, recovering, healing, or you're pretty much just thinking, okay, everything is working out. Because from healing from this painful ending, and when you get the Daughter of Knives, also known as the Page of Swords, and about the pages, just like even with the Two of Wands, it's like going out on adventures and journeys, because adventure is one of your key themes. It's like how strength is for Leo, and, all this other stuff is for other, zodiac signs and stuff like that. But adventure is one of your beautiful key themes, and that's kind of what I see you doing, is you're finally taking off, you're healing, you're recovering, and you're pretty much now thinking, okay, off to the woods we go. We're going to grab our bow and arrow, and we're pretty much going to start hunting for what we want, dream, wish, and desire, and crave, and lust for in other ways. And this is what I see you doing. It's so much healing, and you're regaining yourself again. And of course, you don't need to be having your personal cards like even Temperance for you, or even, a Judgment for Scorpio for that matter, to actually find your true self. As long as you believe in yourself, then, that's the most powerful mindset and perception to ever have, because it's like, even though it's always nice to see your own cards in your own personal reading, as long as you believe in yourself, that's way stronger than seeing your own cards. So despite not having much to manifest in the future or any kind of need and desire, you get the Six of Wands, a big celebratory occasion taking place in your future. Now, of course, we still have Libra, and we still have Scorpio, but after Scorpio, we get your season. So in about like 3 more zodiac signs to go. So this is probably, this could either be taking place maybe, either at the end of September or around, November for that matter, November 21st, and the start of your season for that matter. But I do see this big, beautiful celebratory occasion taking place. And either, it's like this is you actually overcoming all of your negativities, your obstacles, your setbacks for that matter. But this is also just thinking, I don't need to be manifesting anything anymore because I'm in celebratory mode. I'm healing. I finally have found my groove, my own true self again. And sometimes that is actually the best euphoric gift, that you could be giving yourself, is to actually, come to terms with your confidence and strength again. Because by releasing yourself of hard work and burdens, you get the Ace of Swords. You're finally putting time and effort into something, because off with everything that just does not, benefit my beautiful Sagittarius as man or woman in this world, because you finally are actually making room, time and space for wanting to put any time and effort into any kind of voyage or quest in the future. And that's what I like to see, is where you're pretty much just thinking, okay, I'm just finding myself again. I'm re-energized. I'm pretty much, regeneration, my own, fire within me. I pretty much have this reason again to actually come to terms with who I am. So this is what I love, is this is all about healing and rebirthings practically. Because even though you don't get the Ace of Cups, any kind of new beginnings in the future, you get the Queen of Pentacles. And it's interesting because the Queen of Pentacles is indeed the general card for today's reading. So what I see you doing is you're going to be in a very stable, grounded, realistic, money, confident situation. I mean, You know, even in some kind of like, what do you call, what is that word again? Sometimes, you know, it's like these modern day words don't always stick with me, but you're going to be like in an abundant position in the future. Maybe you don't need to be accepting any more abundance because well, you're already, you know, hardworking and abundant individual in your own way. And that's kind of what I have for in the first part of this reading. So, special vampire card, the Page of Wands, Journey City, and more growth and development heading your way in the future. And I can't say when or how, only time will tell. And even, you know, you'll probably be able to actually, you know more about this whole upcoming event or your own true self again. But this is like an adventures card. So I see you going out on adventures in the future again. And I think everything is just going to be just wonderful for you. Because Oracle wants to add free will, sovereignty, independence, and free spirit. Like, I know how independent you guys are because that's why you guys manage to actually take care of your own affairs by yourself. You guys do your own research. You guys are pretty much your own hunters, huntresses in this world. And you just think, okay, I love being independent. And I actually came across a couple of Sagittariuses who really, especially the women, but I've, you know, even the guys, you know, they're very independent individuals. They're like, you know, they pretty much just go out, you know, they find their own, a true, how can I phrase this? But they find their, you know, their calling, you know, it's like their true calling. Now, I have no idea what a true calling is, except for, you know, people, you know, using their cellular devices and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, free will, you'll always have that free will. You'll always have a sense of sovereignty because, you know, even though you're the third fire sign, you're never the least of the fire signs. And you have your independence and free spirit. So, I'm going to finish off with 3 yes or no answers. Please feel free to pause this video and think about the questions you want answered, because for number 1, you do get a no with the 4 of Pentacles reversed. The second Page of Swords for number 2, it's a yes for answer number 2. And for 3, you get another no with the Ace of Wands reversed. Okay, so you get 1 yes and 2 no's for today's reading. My beautiful Sagittarius, I'm going to have to leave it at this, but if this reading resonated for anybody out there, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to love readings, so for now, I'm just doing general and love. I'm also open for personal readings. All you have to do is let me know in the comments section below that you want a personal reading, and I'll respond to you with my email. Other than that, please feel free to check out and browse through the different types of prices on this project page, web link on my YouTube channel. But other than that, I love this beautiful reading for you. It looks incredibly fabulous on so many levels. But anyway, thank you again for joining me. I love you guys incredibly.